Wrestling and Shit with Malik Gaines.
And Jason Wells.
Okay, as of right now, Raw is awful. It was sometimes, every now and again, where it's not awful, but normally it is.
We're only talking about when it's awful because it's more often awful. So let's talk about that.
SmackDown, sure, SmackDown has its misses, but overall, SmackDown's it's definitely better than Raw, and it's very consistent. Like, as of right now, I believe SmackDown is the best of the 3,000 wrestling programs that WWE currently has.
No, there's less James Ellsworth, so SmackDown's actually perfect right now. There's not that much James Ellsworth, so yeah, it's good.
That's definitely true. It has brightened things up a bit.
They're actually implementing him well. They actually found ways to take things that they were doing poorly and do it better. If Raw did that, then maybe Cruiserweight division.
So let's talk about how we can make Raw better. First off, let's go down to 2 hours, like the good old days of Raw.
Yeah, we were just talking about this. I would excuse the 3 hours if the Cruiserweights were used better. And even then, if you're going to give them a whole hour on Raw, if you're going to give them a whole hour on Raw, just make 205 Live longer. It's stupid. No, there's no reason for it to be 3 hours. It's exhausting.
SmackDown had a solid Cruiserweight division in their early days, and they were only 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I don't think, you don't need 3 hours to showcase a division. Because, and also I believe that Raw is too heavily reliant on promos. But back to the 3 hour thing. The 3 hours, it's too much. As I said, like, when I said the 3 hours, 3,000 amount worth of television that the WWE currently has, it's so much. And like, I can't devote all of my time in my week to wrestling. So just condense it a little bit.
Yeah, I don't find myself often, watching every main event. Because I always start in at 8, because usually on Mondays I'm waiting for wrestling to come on. But once it's on, you get through 2 hours, and I feel like I deserve a medal for going to 2.5. And by the time that main event comes on, I want to do something else. I'm no longer interested in wrestling.
It's a test of my patience. So just bring it down to 2 hours. And like the next day, you have 2 hours worth of SmackDown. The next day after that, you have 205 Live and NXT. It's just too much. So it's a big test of your patience. And moving on to the promos, of the over reliance on promos, like every single Raw they open up with a really stiff promo. I think every single Raw. I was reading that I think they're required to do that now. Normally starring Stephanie McMahon, it's so formulaic and like it's too much of the same. Cause the promo, like they're never entertaining. I haven't seen a good opening to Raw in a while. Well, actually, no, the one, with not Goldberg, but Brock Lesnar fucking up Roman Reigns, that was cool.
Yeah, cause it wasn't as much talking involved. It was really just more, finally we get to see Lesnar. Which is one of the best times. I would like to call that a problem with Raw, is we don't get more Heyman and Lesnar, but you understand why that is. The promos, I wouldn't be mad at it being so many, as if Stephanie is inconsistent in who she is as a character and isn't very good at maintaining who she is as a character. Constantly, she's flipping between being a face, a heel, just a general mean person. You don't really know what's her point or where she's coming from. It feels almost off the top every time, and she's just not good at that. And then you have Mick Foley, who's almost a bad kind of good sometimes. He really goes from being very, very mediocre, occasionally good, or so bad it's good. I don't like Foley as a manager because he's one of my favorite guys in the history of wrestling. But as a general manager, his promo skills are good, but he shouldn't be there every week in this role. I think it's really more the people that's doing these promos. I mean, they let Roman Reigns talk still. It's not good.
Which is odd, because like I loved Mick Foley as the commissioner back in like the year 2000.
Younger man.
Yeah, he had more energy. He just seemed like more
coherent.
Yeah. It's just now everything just seems so. I do credit a lot of that to the forced promos, because we all know Mick Foley is an amazing talker. I think if you was just let him go out there and just be him, I think it would be much more entertaining. Because he's proven himself already. Like, why does he need to? What, like, you give Chris Jericho all the freedom in the world on the mic, so
as you should.
Yeah, as you should also with Foley.
True.
So that would be the only way I would like to see him continue being the general manager is if he goes back to more of his commissioner style. Or you could also just make William Regal the general manager again. Remember when he was general manager of Raw? It was pretty good. And he's doing really well in NXT. And we're talking about a good heel general manager. William Regal fits the bill perfectly.
Excellent. Surprised it wasn't him initially.
What else on Raw needs to get fixed?
I don't know if we should say less guys on commentary or just remove Byron Saxton or both. Like, get rid of Byron Saxton, hire somebody else in his place, then get rid of them. I think Byron Saxton needs to be a separate firing. Like, Percy Watson's better than him. Percy Watson surprised me in NXT.
Dude, fuck Percy Watson.
I mean, I don't like him, but he's better than Byron Saxton. Better than Otunga.
That's not saying a whole lot.
He's better than Otunga.
Sure, you're better than Otunga. That doesn't mean that you're a good you don't need to be there. So, yeah, get rid of Byron Saxton. He's annoying as shit. Because Corey Graves is the best heel commentator we've seen in a very long time.
Can't say ever yet.
Heenan. Fuck you mean?
Heenan never watched a match Bobby Heenan called. And knew it.
He's good. He's really good. I have to go back and check it out. Just because I see all the good shit about Heenan, I have to go back and, yeah, he holds up.
All right, gotta definitely check that. I don't like the overly animated commentator. King wore on me. I'll be honest. King, after a while, like once I turned, I think 13, King wasn't my cup of tea. So I really, really like Corey Graves. They're doing some things right on Raw. I don't mind Austin Aries on commentary when he pops up for the Cruiserweight matches. I don't mind that at all.
Well, okay. Also, the mid card in Raw definitely needs to get fleshed out more. We finally got that fucking belt off Roman Reigns, the United States title. It's supposed to be getting a redesign, I heard. That and the Intercontinental title. And we got Chris Jericho, who has always been a great mid card champion. So hopefully, you can see him go against Sami Zayn. Braun Strowman is in the mid card somewhat. He's pushing towards the main event, but he's not ready for the world title. So if he could chase out the United States title, you got your options for like Cesaro, because let's face it, he's not going to make it to the main event. It's not happening.
He's not.
We all want to see it because he's phenomenal in the ring, but he's not going to be in the main event.
No, I think he'll have a lot of titles by the time his career is over, but no, I don't see it either. The mid card on Raw could really be excellent. It's a shame it hasn't been because their mid card roster is almost arguably as good or better than the main event in terms of how much talent they have there. But instead, just put the U.S. title on Reigns when it never needed to leave Rusev ever. I'd be okay if Rusev held it from when he lost it to Reigns till now. He did nothing wrong.
That would be fine.
If he wins it back off Jericho, wouldn't be mad. It's got to find the time and the place.
Also, just it feels like a lot of times too that we're watching the same matches like week in and week out on Raw. So just some form of like to shake up the writers' room a little bit, just something to add more entertainment to it. This is supposed to be your entertainment heavy show because SmackDown is supposed to be the wrestler show. So make an effort to make it more entertaining. A lot of the promos on Raw they're so skip worthy. I love the women's division. They've been doing well promo wise. Well, not Bayley, and in ring wise. So the women's division is fine. We don't really have to worry about that. I could use some more women in it.
It's like 5 right now.
Yeah, it's not enough. That's my only complaint with the women's division is just a lack of depth.
Good thing, less Dana Brooke. But then again, where is she going? Because that's still another body, another person in the women's division. She's just absent. Getting Emelina soon. Maybe she'll help.
Emelina's never coming back. They're just gonna keep putting those promos up forever.
But they said soon.
They said that 4 months ago. That she's not coming. Give it up.
Emelina talks.
Which sucks because they make her wrestle. And better treatment of your world championship. That's arguably my biggest complaint because the Universal title has been treated like shit since its inception. You definitely need to do something to add some form of prestige to it, which is why in the Royal Rumble video, I wanted Chris Jericho to win the Royal Rumble. He's my number 1 pick to win the Rumble because it would add some prestige to that Universal title for not only Jericho to do literally everything by topping off his career by winning the Royal Rumble for the first time. it would add a lot of prestige to that title because that's who they win, even though it didn't do a whole lot for like the World Heavyweight Championship in this last couple of years of it, like when Alberto won the Rumble or when Sheamus won the Rumble. So I don't know, but that's because it was Alberto and Sheamus. Like, who gives a fuck about Alberto and Sheamus? This is Jericho we're talking about. So yeah, that would definitely do a whole lot for the championship. Stop making Kevin Owens look so damn weak if you plan on keeping the title on him for a while. And stop forcing Roman Reigns down our throats because it's obvious that, sure, he sells merch. He's like in the top 5 merch sellers, but if he's getting booed out of every arena he's in, he doesn't need to be in your face all the time.
Yeah, it's not the same as with Cena. Well, maybe it is, but Cena just gotten better. Well, Reigns hasn't, so.
Well, at least Cena could always talk. Cena was always a good talker.
True.
Roman Reigns promos, they put me to sleep.
They're actually uncomfortable for me. It's one of those things where it's not like I'm neutral to it. I dislike it. Like, I don't like seeing him talk. It makes me awkward and uncomfortable because he's obviously uncomfortable speaking because they're writing for him and they're not good writers.
It's a definite mishandling of Seth Rollins currently. Everything since any part of his return. I like Seth Rollins' his return pre-draft.
I think the best thing for me with Rollins, and he was definitely better before the draft happened, even though he was the number 1 pick. I think the best thing has really been with Rollins is the most subtle consistency. It's just the fact that he's been good in just regular everyday matches whenever he has them. He's always a good performer. That's been the best thing, is he's just a good performer in the ring. He hasn't had any hiccups really, other than almost, breaking the arm off of Finn Balor
and almost killing Sting and making his leg turn into a V and fucking Cena's nose up. But other than those 4 things,
it's not that many things.
It's not that many things. People call Seth Rollins dangerous, but he's a wrestler.
It's less than 5.
People get injured. It's less than 5. Almost the 5 though.
It'll be 5 before Joe. But we love you, Seth. Man.
Yeah, you're still awesome. One of the best wrestlers, if not the best wrestler on Raw. Well, what do you guys think could improve Raw? Because right now it is pretty shitty. Leave it in the comments. WrestlingN'Shit.
WrestlingN'Shit.